Morning everyone, welcome to my first retouch tutorial. We're going to start by making a background copy of your original image and call this one Blemish. That's the first thing we're going to do. Go over and select the spot healing brush tool and make sure content and aware is selected, and then all you're going to do is obviously change the brush size and select the areas that you want to apply that tool to, so removing any non-permanent features is the way I like to do it. So there's a little bit of makeup smudge here. Try not to do it in one straight line, it doesn't always work. It's better to work down the area. Obviously try not to make the brush a lot bigger than the area you're actually applying the blemish tool to, spot removal tool to. Just work your way around. I like to tidy up any loose little hairs across the face. If they're across the eye, you can always use the clone tool if you need to. And yeah, just work your way over the photo, tidying up. This looks pretty good so far. Just a couple more bits. Obviously, I don't like to take, some people will remove moles. They're permanent features for me. I don't tend to. I'm just working along some loose strands of hair here. We'll leave the bigger ones and just take away them small ones there. And yeah, that looks pretty good. Let's have a look, a couple more there. Let's turn that on and off to see the difference. There you go, perfect. Next, we are going to make a copy of the blemish layer, and we'll call this one skin smoothing. Let's go for that. Okay, to do the retouch, you're going to come up to filter, select other than high pass, and set this value at around 24 pixels. Next, you want to come back in, go blur, Gaussian blur, and that one I work on a third, so you select 8 pixels. As you can see, obviously that's a harsh image at the minute. Just Control A and Control I to invert that image. Change your blend mode to linear light. Double click the layer, and in here you've got the blend diff layers. All you can do is Option click and split these sliders left to right. And as you see, that makes it, you can already see the smoothing of the skin happening. There we go. You want to make a mask for that one and invert that so it's not applied to any of the image. Using your brush tool and obviously make sure you're on the white swatch. This will allow you now to apply the filters we've just added to the areas of the skin that you want to add them to. Make sure smoothing's, I have it around 2%, anywhere between 1 and 4 is probably fine. And then yeah, just paint over. You can see that applying straight away, making a huge difference. I'm just going to quickly go over, and that's, you can see the image once that's all applied. Obviously, as you do it, just take your time, or apply it everywhere first, then remove it off the features. Depends which way you like to work with your layer. I like to always apply my mask to the area I want, as opposed to take it off the area I want and have it applied to the whole image. So just work your way across all the areas of the skin. If they've got arms and face, arms in the image and that sort of stuff, more than welcome to obviously retouch those as well. Just try not to lose too many details on that if you can. This method of skin retouching is really good. As you can see, you still leave all the detail. If you click the layer, you can actually see the areas you've missed. So I work on my black and white layer and just fill it in to make sure I've covered everywhere. Obviously you can see there the eyes and mouth are the areas I've not applied it to. We'll just finish painting them in. Obviously you could make your brush size bigger if you want to. I'm more than happy just to work my way around the image and take my time with it. Nearly done, a couple more bits. Obviously this is really rough, and that just to show you. And then we'll go back to the image here. There you go. Perfect. Turn that on and off. You can already see big difference, and you still got some texture. For me, I'm going to reduce the brush size now and just change my swatch to black and just make sure it's not on any areas of the image I didn't want to apply those filters to. So I'll paint over the eyes, the edges of the eyes, eyelashes, eyebrows, massively important, and that they're a good feature to obviously have their original texture in. Just remove them off. There you go, and the other side. And I like to work down the shadows over the eyelids, just underneath any eyelashes overhanging the other areas. Work down the shadows. This brings back some texture and depth in the areas, and that to make sure the face doesn't look too flat. Then obviously work your way around the edges of the lips and make sure that little cleft under the nose is really important. That's very important to try and leave as much texture in as possible. There you go. If we work down the shadows here as well, and obviously these filters work best on areas where there's a lot of light. So anywhere there's a dark shadow almost blacked out, you can just take it off on your layer, and that, and as you can see there, work under the chin, edges of the shirt, and any prominent bones, and that the collarbones is especially important. Don't make them look too flat because it brings back depth and that in the neck of your subject. Yeah, we'll just double check that's all looking good. Any highlights as well as shadows are good just to remove, especially on like the top of the nose. Turn that on and off. Look at that for a difference. You can see there your layer mask. Now just to increase that, what I like to do, show you that once more. Perfect. We're going to make a brightness layer. I do have it in an action, but what we're going to do is we'll do the eyes first. Sorry, we'll make a solid colour layer. Put that to white. Hit OK. Invert that, so Control I, Command I if you're using Mac, and that's it. There you go. Change your swatch, and now if you just zoom in on the eyes using your brush tool, you can just bring out. Sorry, didn't change it to overlay mode first. There you go, and you can just see that leaves all the texture that you get in the eye, but we're going to make it brighter. Now, personal preference, how bright you want it. Change your swatch and just make sure it's not applied to the black of the eye. There you go, work that around. There you go, and then obviously move over and do the other eye. Change your swatch. You can hit X for this, and there you go. Perfect. You can see how that overlay blend mode leaves all that texture that you've actually picked up in the eye from your cameras. I've gone a little bit over there, but that's okay. We can just hit X, change the swatch, and take it off the blacks as well. There you go, look at that, perfect. And then just make sure you're not over into the pupil, especially the catch light as well. You don't want to, obviously that's too bright now, so as you can see it's a bit overdone. So we'll put that to about 35%, works nicely for me. Anywhere between 35 and 50 looks nice. Then we're going to make a brightness and contrast layer now. We're going to set our brightness up to, let's go for 15, with a contrast of 10, about 5 less, perfect. And you can see the difference that's made. Then once again, we're going to work on shadows now. And once again, we use brightness and contrast layer for this. But this time we're going to set the contrast at 15. There you go, and we'll put the brightness down to -10. We don't want this over all the image, so select your mask, Control I, Command I for Mac. That'll take it off. And now using the paintbrush tool, we're going to add some contrast into the lips here. Now, you just see how that darkens them. It just adds a little bit of contrast. That's nice. Not too heavy. And that just brings out the shadows, darkens the lips. Work down them shadows around the face, the edge of the nose. Now, especially in the nostrils, that's always a good place to add a little bit of contrast. And then, obviously, depending on what lighting you've got, and that just work across the shadows, across the eyebrows, make them darker. Now, it just really brings out the features on the face. You'll see when we zoom out in a moment. And work across the eyelashes as well. Especially if you haven't had much mascara on, you can just use this to make the eyelashes really dark and stand out from the eyelids. Across the top in the shadows, there you go, look at that, just work around. Obviously, back down over the shadows there, and make sure that's all good. Let's zoom out. And then we'll work down any shadows caused by hair, there you go. Paint them in, and any shadows if you've got accessories like a hat, and turn it on and off. Just see how that pops when you add that in. There you go, and that was your brightness layer. Perfect. Now zoom out. Here you go. What you can do now is just select them all, so you hold Command or Control, select each one, press Control G to group them. You can name that your retouching if you save your PSDs, and then if you turn that on and off, there is your before and after. And that is my first few steps to a retouch. Hope you get something out of it. Thank you.